Well, now I can name a few. Personally, I'm sure I'm not perfect, but Mr. Stamps is. He
No.
You don't think so?
A man to live like the Bible says to live would have to give up all the material things.
Yeah,
here
and
on
also
earth.
he would
He'd have to sell his house and give the money to somebody that needs it. And he couldn't hold a job, there's no way, because he'd have to devote his taps to Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he wouldn't reproduce. He wouldn't have time for stuff like that. So they'd
And like the
encourage.
Bible says, if you see somebody that needs $1,000 and you've got $1,000, you're supposed to give it to somebody and never expect it back.
You don't tell to give
Yes,
everything
it
you
does.
got.
No, my priest had a talk not too long ago.
The Bible teaches you take poverty.
You help people in the needy, you take care of your widows and orphans, and you give a certain percent to the church. But it doesn't say deprive yourself of anything, but you are to help people in need.
If you don't deprive yourself, you're being selfish. All your worldly goods you gain on this earth, you're not supposed to.
And it says,
You're just supposed to barely get past starving. That's all.
You're supposed to survive.
well, now, I just don't think I agree with all that.
That's like
Even
the
the
preacher
poor
used
don't. That's why they're on welfare, trying to get what you've got. Right? Get a little bit more.
Look at all the things that's happening today in the name of religion. You get Billy Graham Crusade, you get Oral Roberts, you get the
Jimmy Jones.
ETL Club.
Well, now, I don't believe in everything they have to do.
Okay, I mean, who's right and who's wrong, that's where you've got to draw a line in that. But all of them are, and the Catholic Church and all of them, they're filthy rich and just getting richer
They are.
every day.
The
I know they
Seventh-day
get
Seventh-day Adventists think that the
That's not what the
Catholics are
Bible
Antichrist
teaches.
people.
It may not,
When
but
a
it's
church
in
goes
the church.
up out here and he builds a big spire up off of that church, it costs $100,000. Why don't you leave the spire off and take that $100,000 and give it to the widows and the orphans?
Well, that's
and
supposed to
people
be
No,
a
they
symbol of the
don't.
rocket ship, which is how they got here.
How do they get a new church started, James? Don't they come start a building fund? They
First,
don't
you've
take
got
it
to
from
define
one.
a church. A church is a group of people gathered together to worship
Right.
God, and you can do that out in the field.
Well, that's true. If you could get a large enough group, I would say you would get very few.
Okay? So you've got a bunch of selfish people that have to sit in an air conditioning and sit there 1 or 2 hours on Sunday and go out and raise hell all week long.
If that's what they want to do. That's why
Also-
Byron doesn't go, but at least Byron keeps quiet because he doesn't go.
If
And
you
he
did-
doesn't come in on this. I go, so he doesn't say anything.
Well, everybody's their own kid.
Because I get
Go.
mad.
If you get mad, you keep talking, you gonna have a fight on your hands.
I go. But anybody that
That's what
doesn't
it's
go,
about.
I feel like they can't talk. It's like living, having no home and saying to me, I don't like your home because when I do get a home, I'm going to have this and I'm going to get this and I'm going to have this. I'm affording what I can have and I've got it. The one who says they wouldn't have it because it's not good enough, and in the meantime they don't have zero.
You think
Turns me off.
you think a church is essential to salvation?
Is the center?
Is essential.
No, not really.
Then
A
what's all
person
of
can
them
be
hang up
good.
on the church?
I like to go to church.
If a person studies the Bible, reads it, has a good understanding of it, you don't need to
No, I'm not arguing that.
Also, you should meet once a week. To-
I say the
We're doing
house
that
of
now.
God,
Actually, it
I
should be in
should
a
visit.
continuous meeting. It shouldn't be once a week. It should be all the
Well,
time.
you should live your
That's
life
right.
daily, right?
Once
But
a week, all you do is show your ignorance and have to sit there and listen to somebody else tell you what it's all
church.
about.
the church is used, you go to church not to hear the preacher so much as you do to observe the Lord's Supper and what it represents. That's what you're supposed to go.
You're witness to it.
I agree with that part.
And that just shows you how to go on a diet. Just take one little sip of this, and a little bite of that. and
Well,
there you
that's
go.
why you might not be going
And a lot of good
You better
intentions to do better for the next coming week.
I think the church would instill into a person the desire to live better.
Yes.
Other than that, I don't think a church is essential to salvation because you don't have to do 2 things to be saved.
Well, if you saying you don't have to go to church, you don't.
That's true.
You don't have to go to church. But the church, like Juanita said, is the center, and that's where the mass is.
It's good, there's no doubt
Right.
about it, it's good.
Uh-huh.